Hello everybody, I hope you're having an amazing day, and today I would like to share with you guys my final thoughts on the LUFT Concepts AVNT. This knife you can no longer purchase, unfortunately, and I have a whole lot of good and a little bit of bad to say about this thing. It's all kind of mixed up all over the place, but I will be pulling some specs, pricing, and information off of the last retailer that I was aware of that had them available, and that's going to be Blade HQ. So I did purchase this. I got it on the pre-order, so I got the little pre-order thank you gift baggie and everything, a couple little extra goodies that you would get in that you wouldn't get if you were to have purchased this when they were available at these other online retailers. But this guy was $350. It's a good chunk of money, but this is a good chunk of knife. Very, very high quality, excellently well made, super sweet. Also, before I read off specs and some stuff, I wanted to mention that I really wish that I knew that there were other variants coming out, because what you have here is a gorgeous satin finish blade, and you guys know I'm not the biggest fan of satin finishes. It's like a high maintenance woman. It's just not for me. Looks really pretty, but there's nothing really special about it. Stonewash or B-Blast, it would perform just the same. It's just an aesthetic thing. That's all it is. You have this beautifully milled titanium here, and little flex factor. These pivot collars and the backspacer are zirconium. You don't really see too many production knives with zirconium, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I don't know shit about zirconium. All I know is that it's very difficult to machine because it is extremely flammable or volatile, whatever the proper term is, but it is a very rich metallic black that a lot of people put value to, which, you know, to each their own. But there was a let me see if they're still available. Yes, so at the moment there is one that I think I would have preferred a little bit more, but definitely not at the price. So Urban EDC Supply, currently right now at the recording of this video, for $420 you can get a brass scaled, same pattern and everything, but a acid stonewash blade, minus the zirconium pieces. Well, I think actually the backspacer is zirconium, but the pivot collars, you know what, never mind. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that those are most likely zirconium too. But even still, so the main difference is the acid stonewash blade. It looks awesome, it looks sick. It's something that I would definitely want. It's more my speed. But then it has the brass scales. Now the brass is going to be a little bit heavier, but I don't really think that having brass justifies the significance in price. I mean, this is already a $350 knife. Now going up to $420, yeah, I'm gonna say that if it is only worth that much if you really love the design and you love brass. Now, brass will patina, titanium will not. The brass is heavier, more substantial feeling in some people's opinion, and the titanium is lighter and maybe cheaper feeling in some people's opinion. So with that being said and done with, also there's another one. There's another exclusive coming out. I don't know who it's from, but I saw a picture on LUFT Concepts Instagram, and they had a third variant. It was actually, I think it was marbled carbon fiber and a black DLC blade. I don't know what the price of that one was. Actually, you know what? It was $340, around there. And that's more my speed. I think I would have really liked that. it would have been nice to know that these things were available, because I would have waited, honestly. So with all that being said and done with, I think that the versions that are available right now and are going to become available are better than the base one. This is essentially the base AVNT. So let's go ahead and just read some specs. And I finally have my own little scale here, so I can, because the weight, I don't so much have an issue with size dimensions off of pulling information off of online retailers, but it's weight. The weight of knives really throws me off. I can't just be like, oh yeah, this feels like, I don't have that ability. Some people do, and they're really good at it. Like Metal Complex, he can just pick up like whatever and be like, oh yeah, this weighs like half a pound, and he's, you know, 0.002 off. That's amazing. I don't have that, so I'm going to be utilizing my brand new little scale there. So the overall length of this guy is 7.75, blade length 3.25. Amazing blade length in my opinion. I definitely do enjoy that. Cutting edge is 3 inches in my opinion. That's perfect, but just be aware of your local blade length laws, because where it's measured from, it could be over the legal limit of 3 inches in some areas, even though the cutting edge is only 3. So there is that. Blade thickness is 0.13. Blade material is M390, and yeah, it's pretty good stuff for sure. A drop point, yeah, that's a drop point, but there's a lot of belly up here, and that's mainly what's kept me from using this as much as I really wanted to. And blade grind hollow finished satin, of course, as you can see, it is quite beautiful. Look at that. And then it has satin running horizontally. So vertical and horizontal satins, they clash a little bit. It's a fingerprint magnet. I did have to wipe this a bunch before starting up the video. But yeah, this is what it looks like, all nice and clean, all nice and shiny, unused. Gunk gets on it like really easily. So like, again, satin to me is like a high maintenance woman. It's not worth it. Color gray, weight 4.14. Let's check that out. Okay, 4.2. So my scale says a little bit heavier, but I mean, it's not really that crazy. And at this size of a knife, yeah, that sounds about right. It's not super heavy. It doesn't feel really light. Yeah, I think it's just perfect for what it is. Right hand and left hand carry, which is sweet, so lefties can enjoy this. Tip up only, as it should be. Manual flipper, does have a hole, inset liner lock, and this is manufactured by Riot. Now, this was going to be, at the time that I pre-ordered this was going to be the first ever knife that I have experienced from Riot. Riot, if you don't know, is one of the highest quality Chinese OEMs. They have a lot of in-house designs that are really cool. I've never shown any off on the channel before because I just never really had the opportunity to. But they are an OEM for a lot of wonderful designers like this, for example, and also the f5.5. I've now purchased 2 f5.5s, and they are also manufactured by Riot. They use the variants that I got off the f5.5. They were in micarta and G10. They had titanium liners and different finishes on the hardware, clip and blade liners and all that good stuff. But the tolerances are insane. There is definitely, in my opinion, I value the amount of quality, tolerances, and fit and finish into what Riot does, but that will always bring up the price tag. Now, there are a lot of people out there that will say you don't need a $100+, $300+ knife to be satisfied because a knife is a tool. Yes, you are right, but here on this channel we talk about the full spectrum except for customs because, well, I'm not made of money. I'd have to sell like half of my collection to afford like the custom that I would want at this very moment in time. And I don't even know what that is really. But with that being said, there is so much value that I could stand behind when it comes to at least this base model's price tag. $350, yes, that is a good chunk of money, but this is also a lot of really good quality knife. So with all that little rant out of the way, let's get into some good size comparisons here. We will start with my Spyderco's. This is the one that's probably going to compare to the most, and a lot of people say it is a amalgamation of Spyderco PM2 and a what are they called? The company name is escaping me right now, but it's another like ridiculously expensive knife company that I can't remember at the moment, but it closely relates, at least in my collection, to a PM2. It's practically about the same amount of handle and blade, cutting edge. You're getting about the same, it's just a little bit different shape. In use, in what I like to do for work, I go through a lot of cardboard and plastic, and I need a knife that is a little bit more in the utilitarian blade shape, kind of like a typical box cutter. But there is definitely a spot in my heart for drop points and things that may not be so utilitarian based. That's why I've upgraded this as much as I have, and that's why this has stayed in my collection. So while I don't use this a whole lot, I will definitely use this more than I've used the AVNT. So because there's so much belly up here, it's difficult for me to get at that tip, but the cutting performance is insane. It is freaking sweet. And I haven't actually sharpened this because I haven't honestly used it as much as I really should have. I've mainly been playing with this more than actually using it, which, I mean, to some people you can say, well, that doesn't really justify a proper review, but again, I talk about fit and finish, not just what it is in use. A box cutter, a standard little box cutter, will perform really anything I'm gonna show you guys here, because that's just using it as a tool, but we're gonna talk about a lot of other like little elements, enthusiastic elements. Other knife, a little bit smaller, is Spyderco Native 5, my #1 favorite Spyderco knife. More over here, Benchmade Osborne 940. Overall length about the same, but I believe the AVNT is still better cutting performance. Here I have a bug out. Probably my favorite out of all the comparison knives. This is my Demco 80-20.5 nailed titanium 3V, and last but not least, my Elementum. So hopefully that helps you guys get a decent little visual aid of what this thing is really all about, because me just showing it to you guys in my hands, I could say I have I wear large, extra large size gloves, but my fingers are slim, so this knife may look smaller in reviewers' hands that are a lot meatier than mine. As you can see, my fingers are on they're long and slim. That's just how they are. But comfort wise, this thing is sweet. It's extremely comfortable. The deployment hole is awesome. I love thumb flicking it. It's extremely snappy. The point where it finally lets go, and with the whole detent tension and everything, it's just excellent. It's really, really nice. The flipper tab, I have a lot of issues with it, but the flipper tab, and this was done intentionally. The designers fully knowing that people are going to want jimping, and yeah, there was plenty of room to do jimping. By RIA, they can do very fine jimping in small areas. That could have been 3-4 jimps, maybe 1 or 2 right on that little edge, and maybe 1 down there just to get full rounded effect there. That would have been awesome. So to me, as an experienced individual with this knife and owning it for as long as I have, I don't have an issue with deploying it. But my hands need to be bone dry. My hands need to be covered in grit, dirt, and grime from work to be able to get a good purchase of this thing. But if my hands are freshly scrubbed and clean and possibly even moisturized, I will never be able to really get at that because there is no traction there. Absolutely zero traction there. And that was a design choice by the designers. They just I watched a video, I believe it's Jake from Bearded Gear. I'm so sorry, I can't remember. But one of the designers mentioned that they just don't care for jimping. And I understand that this is their design, but what is also needed in the industry, like I'm sure they don't care to sell a $350 knife if they can be able to give this and have more people experience at a better price point. $150, I'm pretty sure they would want to, right? That's really my only little thing, but it was a genuine decision not to put jimping on there. And honestly, like I don't really interact with the flipper tab so much because this whole deployment is sick. It is absolutely awesome. I just love how it breaks away. I love the sound of it. I have taken this knife apart twice already to do some maintenance just to see if I could strengthen the D10, because when I got it, it was really, really light and I didn't like it. It felt really cheap to me. But to each their own. There are people that like a light detent, and if it's done really well, then that's a sign of quality. And then there are other people that like strong, heavy detents, and that's a sign of solidity and also quality. So to each their own on that. But so what I did was I did actually flex the liner over just a tad. Zero sticks, zero issues. It's absolutely awesome. And I put some KPL heavy in here, so that kind of stiffens up everything. So it's not as drop shreddy as it was when I did my unboxing video, but it's good to me. I'm extremely happy with the action of this thing. The action is, there's zero question that this thing is amazing. Zero play with the detent. There's no pivot lash, like detent lash. No side to side, up or down. This thing is just, it's a freaking rock, and it's a very well executed rock. It's really nice. T8 hardware all the way around. Here are the body screws, the clip. It's a wire clip. I personally, at that $350 price point, clips aren't really the biggest thing to me. It's not a big deal. But it would have been nice to seen something a little bit more fancier, something a little nicer. It works. There's nothing really wrong with it. It works, but at that price point, there definitely could have been something done about that. Same argument I make on a lot of Devo knives. Some Devo knives are expensive, yes, and they have wire clips. Like the Stout has a wire clip. That's an amazing knife. And one of the main complaints, and the main complaints of a lot of people that I have reviewed this already, is the wire clip. And me personally, I'm not really complaining, but the people would have definitely wanted something a little bit nicer. Me personally, I don't care. It's functional. I don't feel it at all. It's great, and it's low profile. It's not ginormous. It's not half the length of the handle like some knives are with their clips and their ratios and all that. So I think the clip is perfectly fine. And this is the area milled out for lefty carry. And I'm not a lefty. I was born a lefty, but so a lot of things are natural to me doing it with left-handed, but I've lost that dexterity with a lot of things. So it is what it is. But definitely a lefty could genuinely enjoy this because it's not a frame lock, it's an inset liner lock. So you don't have to deal with like locking yourself out or issues like that you deal with like frame locks. So that's really it. I don't have a whole lot more to say about this thing. There is 0 milling in those liners there. I'm pretty sure those are titanium liners. There could have been some weight relief. Would have been nice. It would have been a welcomed thing to have done. Back spacer made of zirconium. The pivot collars of also zirconium. That's just a little flex. That's like, if you know, you know. It's cool, but this is just this is a boutique styled knife. You know, it's not gonna be for everybody. You know, there are a lot of misses on this, you know, particular design. Like one thing that you don't really see too often is a detent ramp, and this knife has a detent ramp, but it was executed so terribly. The detent ramp actually has a machine milled satin finish to it, and it is so rough. You can feel the ceramic detent ball. Yes, this has ceramic detent ball, ceramic ball bearings. Everything is very well constructed and premium in there, but there is a spot right starting there to the point where it locks. It is on the detent ramp, and in this space right here, it is really rough, and at first it was extremely gritty. It's wearing itself in now, but this is only really, you're only going to notice that if you're slow rolling this. If you're flicking it as it's intended to be you know, opened, you're never going to notice that detent ramp. So it's like, how much time and money was put into getting that detent ramp done and then missed completely. A detent ramp should be polished if there is going to be one, to have the least amount of drag on that detent ball. So you're never going to really notice it or interact with it, but you will notice it if you like to slow roll your knife. So right about there, that's where it stops, and you could feel just in this little space up here, it's rough. You can almost hear it too. But once it's below that, it's extremely smooth. And the lockout, it's perfect. I have zero issues with it. But that's just one thing that I thought was kind of interesting. And I was thinking, like, yeah, time is money. And when it comes to production and things like that, how much time was spent in making detent ramps into these blades and then missed completely? I'm curious. I wouldn't know the answer to that. I wouldn't know where to find the answer to that. I don't even know if the designers, you know, realized that. And you know what? It could very well be that maybe my unit didn't have the very best machined detent ramp. Maybe mine is a little bit rougher than other people's. Possibly, I don't know. But with the fit and finish and quality that Rhea has, I don't think that it's a possibility that I got a bum unit. I don't think that that's the case, really. I think it was intentionally left that way, maybe forgotten. You know, that is something that could definitely be taken care of with a little buffing Dremel. That can definitely help out, but definitely at $350, you shouldn't really have to be tinkering with your knife. It should come essentially perfect. The grinds, the edge, the fit and finish, the centering, the quality of the hardware, the threads, these are all things that should be perfect. The finish, there's a light stone washing on the very light stone washing, and I appreciate that. I think it looks awesome. So it definitely hides a lot of little marks. They could have been cheap about it and just done like a bead blast. You just freaking bead blast and it's done. But you know, it's an extra step to do that stone washing, and I'm sure there has to be a lot of really tedious visual QC before they're assembled to make sure that the stone washing is very consistent. There are parts where they're a lot like heavier, or maybe the scratch pattern just isn't even. So I mean, this is definitely a wonderful knife, but it's actually just not for me. Now that I've experienced it in essentially its base form, I would have definitely waited till I saw that sorry, there's like an old ass car passing by. I would have definitely waited until there was a I guess a earlier heads up that there were going to be newer and honestly cooler variants of this, like the carbon fiber one, because that's $10 cheaper, and it's not even really about the money, but it's $10 less. It's probably going to be significantly lighter than this, and it's going to have a finish that I personally prefer, and it's going to be an amazing user knife and an incredible slicer. But so again, like I said before, this is kind of a boutique styled and designed knife. It's not going to be for everybody, but there are so many cool elements to this thing. It's an excellently executed piece. There are just a couple of those little things that I did notice. The poor execution of the detent ramp and the fact that there is no jimping where there needs to be. And I say that because every non-knife person that I handed this to continuously slipped off of it and almost dropped the knife. If a average person can't actuate a flipper tab, that's kind of embarrassing. That's not cool. So jimping is a definite must. It needs it. Really only an experienced knife enthusiast would be able to continuously get that. And even me, yeah, it's not that comfortable. Like just flipping it here and there, like my fingers actually really red. So honestly, like you can still buy this knife and just be completely content with the hold, because it is extremely well machined, very, very clean in there. It's not going to shave off your finger, like your nails or whatever. And it's excellent. The action is absolutely wonderful, as long as you don't slow roll it, and you'll have to interact with that poor detent ramp there. But you know, and like there's that. Come on. It's the detent ramp is just it's so coarse that it just holds on to that ball and it just won't let go. It won't drop until I get off that detent ramp, and you know, it comes down from there. So unless I push it in there and hold it down to where it drops on my nail, but at that point it's hitting the edge, is actually interacting with my nail. So as I mentioned before, this has not seen a sharpening. This is still the factory edge, and I've just been hitting it with a little pocket strap I have here. Oh, there's also a numbered unit, so there was only a handful of them made. This is 178, a little difficult to see in there. 178 right in there, so that's nice. And no major branding. Really, the only branding that's on this thing is on the flipper tab, so it's right there and right there. Little dirty marks. It's like dust and debris and whatever, but there that is. So I'm going to be selling this. I'm going to try to get as much as I can back out of this thing. I'm not going to ask for more than what I paid for. It's actually going to be a little bit less than what I paid for, not significantly, but I do all my sales through NAF sale. So today I will be posting this. So you guys will see this review tomorrow, and the knife will be available tomorrow sometime in the afternoon. What will come with this is everything that I got when I got the knife, and also the pre-order goodie bag, except for the car freshener because I already used that. So you have a little like bottle or energy drink holder there. You have a key lanyard there, some stickers, a cloth, some candy, no, not really, and then a very heavy duty pouch, nylon pouch with super thick zippers, and it comes with one of these guys. So all the other variants will be coming with their own, so you can kind of like collect them all. There's like a little pouch for the knife. So I'll be selling this guy as is. I'm not gonna ask anything more because I got the little like thank you pre-order gift bundle thing. It was really just some stickers, a lanyard, and a little koozie thing. So, but yeah, that's really it. It's a knife that, if you like the style, if you like how it looks, go for it. You're gonna be really happy with it. If you don't mind that it's a little bit difficult to get at that tip, go for it. This thing is built extremely well by a company that knows their shit. You know, there was just a couple little design elements that I think could have been improved, but there are definite workarounds to that. So yeah, with that being said, you guys will see this video soon, and the knife will be up on NAF sale. So if you guys are interested, because you can't buy this anymore brand new, let me know. That being said, have a wonderful rest of your day.